the first thing I want to ask you is kind of how you got involved in this. What was there a particular impetus or something that compelled you to apply for NHQA?
Yes, the it probably started for us, Rich, in 2018. We were fortunate enough to do the Lean project with Scott Sadam and his team at True North, and that really exposed us to what this program was all about and what it really was. So from 2017 to 2020, we scaled rather rapidly from around 30 homes to upwards of 200 homes. And really, just right before the virus, we made a strategic decision to slow down the top line revenue growth and the overall unit count growth to really take a focus on quality and margin. And that really began our journey for preparation for this particular award. And so we spent about 4 years, and our top line focus was called world-class construction, and we wanted independent third party to validate that. And that's really what got it all started for us.
What was your approach to the application process? How did you go about, managing it, getting it done? Yeah, just what was your approach to applying for the award?
Yeah, it's quite the application. So the approach was diligent, and a team of three or four of us. Mark Clore, that was head of construction at Brown Haven. Al Romano, is the local head coach we use in, terminology wise, rather than general manager of our LJ location that was specifically applying for this award. The three of us spent a tremendous amount of time going through it, and it's quite thorough.
Was there how much did you involve the rest of the team at your company? How did you make sure that you covered all the bases, or were the three of you just kind of doing all that, took on that responsibility?
Yeah, the three of us took the lead, and then we would bring in department by department and have just work sessions to go thoughtfully through the questions.
Excellent. Okay. Was there anything about the process, whether it's the application, the site visit, the feedback report, any part of it that was a surprise to you, or how did it meet your expectations going in?
Yeah, maybe I should have known from how thorough the application was, but when the judges showed up, it was significantly more comprehensive and thorough than I could have really imagined. I mean, those guys got into the weeds, into the business, and there was, to a point, no stone not unturned from those guys, and they really challenged us with a lot of the questions, and we had to be thoughtful in our responses, and I mean, it was just more thorough than I could have imagined, quite honestly. And which I really respected, because they really challenged a lot of the beliefs that we thought we had, and it was a lot of fun at the same time.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting point to make, is that because some builders are very sensitive about, one, being told what they're doing wrong in a way, or where they need to improve in a more positive way to put that, but you kind of lay yourself bare here, and then you got to be kind of have a thick skin to say, okay, we're doing this, and they're going to kind of tell us what they think, and these guys know what they're doing.
Yeah, well, and that's where we have a lot of humility and an unbelievably open mind to listen, and plus these guys are good. I mean, they're all prior winners, and they're all at large scale companies, so we welcome any and all feedback. I mean, we're not very prideful, and we were just grateful that they're investing that amount of time to come and do this. I mean, it seemed to be a project of passion for those guys. I don't know that they got overly heavily compensated. I mean, it was just there to kind of help within in industry peers. So it was just a lot of respect from those guys, and they deliver the messages. Yeah, some of the feedback you don't particularly want to hear, maybe, but it's from a good place, because those guys, I believe, truly just wanted to help.
What are the 2 or 3 things that you learned from the experience, again, as you were doing the application, during the site visit, from the feedback report? Were there 2 or 3 things that you said, oh, that's a light bulb moment, that's a moment we're going to pay attention to?
There's 2 things that really jump out to me. So on the we just got to get better front, we thought, and we do a good job on quality, but I don't know that we had it really dialed in on how to quantify throughout all the different stages and it show up in a data point. It wasn't as tight as what I had thought it was. And so that's our probably biggest aha and our biggest opportunity to go work and get better at. So we're working very, very heavily on just being able to, without, whether it's my opinion, and we have 8 different locations as well, so it's over a broader territory, have one way to measure quality and a data point that speaks to it specifically, so that we don't have 8 different interpretations of what quality might be. So that was probably the biggest aha that we just got to get better at. And then the part that we walked away feeling like we were maybe doing a little better than we even realized was probably on the culture piece and the transparency piece. I think the guys really appreciated how open we are with our financials, how every single person at the company bleeds core values and the mission and the purpose and the why of what we do. I mean, we live it every day, day in, day out, but I think for an outside group to come see it, they were, I think I like to tell myself they were pretty impressed by what we had going on the culture piece.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they see a lot of builders, they know a lot of builders, and if they recognize that and commented on it, I think it says a lot about what you guys are doing. So that's great.
Yeah.
Are there things, so you mentioned construction quality, were there systems in place or some skeletons of systems in place that you had, or are you now kind of implementing and finding ways to kind of streamline and kind of not streamline, but basically make that an efficient process, make that a more robust process?
Before the meeting, I would say there were systems in place, and I think your word skeletons might have been most accurate. I think after meeting with those guys, there were skeleton of systems in place and in their infancy. So it had us really take a step back and realize that it wasn't thoughtful enough, it wasn't thorough enough, it wasn't scalable enough. So we're working heavily on having it more automated, a lot of the quality control metrics throughout the entire process to really get to the level that we want to be at.
And just for reference or for context, how do you run your job sites? Do you have I'm guessing you have a site lead, but you rely on mostly trade partners to do the work, but you've got someone there that's supervising that. Is that model going to change at all, or is it really more about kind of, what you're asking them to report, what you're asking your trades to report, and then how you kind of manage all that data?
Yep, you got it. So what we do as far as the work doesn't necessarily change, but it's how we measure it. So for instance, we had just simple paper checklist that may or may not get filled out, that may or may not be uploaded into whatever data system, that doesn't really flow to any sort of dashboard. There were elements of that in the works, but now I realized that it's going to take a lot more thought and a lot more training and a lot more implementation to execute at the level that the judges want to see for us to be worthy of a gold type of medal for this. So we're really taking a step back on that and looking at a lot of the softwares, looking at a lot of the trainings, and it's not going to happen overnight either, is what we also learned. We thought that we could kind of spend a quarter talking about it and just have it in place, Rich. And quite frankly, this is going to be a 12 to 24 month cultural change to really get it to the level that we want.
So maybe this is just kind of a loaded question, and I hesitate to ask it, but I did put it on the list of stuff that we're talking about.
Sure.
But how do you measure, whether that's quantitative or just how you feel about it, the investment that you made in this, both in financially and in time? I mean, it's not, like you said, it's a very robust application process. You're asked to kind of put your pencils down for 2 days and talk to these guys and go to job sites and really have them dig into your business. Talk to me about the value of NHQA across the board, again, financially, but also from an effort standpoint.
I mean, the return is really hard to put a dollar figure on, because it so outweighs the time investment, the money investment, to have the panel of judges come in and people that have done it at that high of a level that long and give a true thoughtful analysis of your business is like, I don't know, you can't buy this. I mean, it's hard to speak to that. So the value we got out of it is tremendous. in a lot of different ways. I would break it down into, yes, there's some areas to work on, but also there was a big confidence boost that came out of this as well for the team to say, you know what, all these things that were hard for all these years that we were doing, there's validation to why we were doing it, why we're obsessing about things that most people don't care about that we make a big deal of. There's validation that hey, this stuff does matter. If you want to truly be one of the best to have ever done it and truly achieve world-class construction, then these are the things that you have to do. So it would, I just think it's I think everybody should do this. I mean, and it was so comprehensive of the entire operation as well, Rich. So you can't just focus on this one department. You truly, it truly exposes any and all holes in your operation at large, rather than, every builder, especially a founder-led company, has their one or two departments or their one or two things. But this forces you to see how all the different functions have to come together to truly create excellence.
That's great. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about its impact or any kind of competitive aspect that it gives you. Obviously you guys are committed to excellence, not just because you went through this program, but you have the mission that we talked about and going with Scott on lean, looking to get better. But when you look around the markets that you're in, and maybe maybe it's not as competitive as other markets, but I suspect that it is. How does this kind of position you from a competitive standpoint?
I think all our markets are always competitive. I think we're only as good as the last house we built. The next one's not promised. And about the moment that you get complacent, somebody's going to come along and do better than you. So we stay pretty humble and pretty hungry around Brown Haven, and this gives us the confidence. But we celebrate for about 5 minutes, and then we see all the areas that we need to get better at, and we obsess about all the areas we need to get better at, Rich. And so from a competitive nature, as long as we're obsessed about just being the absolute very best and creating the most raving fans and delivering the highest quality, whether the market's good, bad, or ugly, or whoever comes along, we focus on what we can control, then I think there's always a buyer for our homes.
That's great. Thank you. And I'm sorry I kind of threw that as a wild card into that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I had to think, but I wanted to give you a thoughtful answer.
It was very thoughtful. No, I appreciate that. Okay, last thing that I want to ask you is just, and you've kind of alluded to it, so, probably going to repeat yourself, but what advice would you give to a builder who is thinking about this or has just heard about this or is like, I want to get better, but I don't know how to do it? What advice would you give them about this program or about how to go about it?
I would say advice is it's something that I don't know that I've ever experienced something so thorough. And we've done lots of different, whether it's workshops or consultants or things of that nature, but it's something you can't fake or bluff or kind of like go through the motions on. So you better have your stuff together. You better be thoughtful. You better have collective team buy-in. And if you approach it with the right mindset and give it the attention that it demands and deserves, then I think it can be one of the most rewarding things that a home builder can do.